So I have as I do with all my cameras when I do unboxings, I open them up and I spend about a week with them, then I put them back in the box, and I kind of give everyone my initial short-term impressions of how I like it. In this case, this is the Fuji GFX 50S. It's a little bit old. It's the first one that came out, the first crop medium format camera by Fuji. The reason I got it is because, well, I got rid of my M9. I basically had a museum piece M9. It's like full kit and everything, and it's beautiful and worked perfectly. Sensor's perfect. Replaced sensor paperwork, CLA'd 2 years ago, and I decided to sell that because, let's face it, the M9 image quality, you can't justify it against any of the modern mirrorless cameras, especially when you're talking about medium format GFX, and the best image quality of any camera I've ever touched. Really is in a class all its own. At lower ISOs, there's so much information, so much so much juice to the images, that it's hard to justify shooting anything else. So let's open this up. I did not get this new. I think I put that in the title, or we'll be putting it in the title. It's new to me. It's not new, but it is new to me. So let's open it up. Pretty standard box. And I did get a full kit, and it came with extra batteries and everything. Everything was packaged perfectly. I got it from MPB. I don't know if I should or shouldn't recommend them as of now. We'll see in the future. So it comes with like this little box, this little case. Now this has all your paperwork and little strap lugs, and it gives you that whole warning: don't return to the store, contact Fujifilm first. And then it's usually how it tells. They also have paperwork inside that indicates whether it is North America and Canada, which is important when you're buying it for if you need to get it surfaced in the future. So if you're buying a GFX, make sure, and if you're buying it in the US and Canada, make sure it's a North American edition so you can get it surfaced here. Strap lugs, they're nice, interesting. I hate stock straps, I really do. But I think in this case I have no choice but to use the strap on it. I have not really used it. I've barely used it with the EVF. I've just been using the back screen, which is pretty decent. And the autofocus on the camera, especially with these new upgrades that Fuji's been putting out through firmware, are really good. So here is a little accessory box. We have everything came packaged really well. Here's the EVF. So it's a little package. I have used it a couple of times. It's okay. It's not all that good. I noticed the 50S doesn't have the any of the boost mode stuff. I don't know why that is. I figure that it would have a boost mode setting. I really wish it did. And I bought the S over the R because it explicitly states that it's weather sealed, and I know the R may or may not be. I can't seem to get a straight answer on it. I think it is, but I don't think it's as well weather sealed as the S, and I don't mind the size at all. So nice like foam padding and packaging. There is the GFX 50S, and that's the most important aspect of this camera is that massive sensor. And the sensor I covered it up right away. I don't like to leave it open. It is a massive sensor, and the sensor was pristine. This camera was listed as excellent, and it's a little bit beyond excellent, I gotta be honest, because there's not a mark on it. And I've been shooting it without the EVF for the most part, and it's really comfortable to use. Now, it's big, but I mean, I don't know if my hands are all that big, but it doesn't feel all that big. Now, my main work camera is a Panasonic S1, which is, I think, probably the best mirrorless camera ever made for the money. But it's not that much bigger than my Lumix S1, Panasonic S1. And I really like how when you don't have the EVF, it's kind of set up like a studio camera with this back, and you can use the the look down. Or I have found this to be super useful. I kind of use that configuration a lot. I like that. I like the way the screen articulates. It doesn't feel at all flimsy, and that's one of the things with this, the build quality. Just the way, this isn't push to unlock, it's click to unlock. So just the way the dials and buttons work, they're substantial. There's like a good amount of resistance. It does feel pretty good to push. Yeah, the buttons feel good to push. To be honest, I like the top LCD panel. Right now I have it set up for aperture priority, and then I just exposure lock with this button back here and use back button focusing for the most part, because the focusing is not super fast, but it's not as slow as people would imagine for a medium format. It's actually super fast for medium format, honestly. And I know that the new 100 models are just supposed to be next level because they're phase detect. I like these focus mode selector switches where you have manual, which I'll keep it to that most of the time. I think I go about 40-60 between manual and single. Continuous works okay for face detect, and this camera has surprisingly good face and eye detect. It doesn't nail it 100% of the time, but in decent light, it's pretty good. Part of the not so amazing hit rate with continuous focus, specifically eye detect and face detect, is due to the fact that the depth of field, while you're not going to get that super round soap bubbly bokeh, you're going to get the focus fall off is so thin, even at like f4. The depth of field is so shallow, even though the background blur is not as pronounced as it would be on a super fast full frame camera. When your subject moves back and forth and the time it takes for the shutter to drop, you kind of lose that plane of focus just through just natural movements of the camera and your subject most of the time. Not most of the time, but when you do lose focus, I've kind of realized that when someone is front or back focused a little bit, it's usually due to like you moving the camera or the shutter speed being too slow, or them having moved since the camera acquired focus, even on continuous. Like, it's not lightning fast, it is contrast detect, but it's very much usable. I don't really have a lot of complaints in terms of the usability of this camera. Yeah, it's a little bit slow compared to something like a Fuji X-T4 or a Canon R5, but it's so pleasing to use. 100% of this camera is about the files. I'm not even going to mention video, because even though it has video, video is such an afterthought on this thing. But man, the files out of this camera are unbelievable. Canon R5 doesn't touch them. The Panasonic S1R doesn't touch them. I don't know any camera, aside from other medium format cameras, that can give you the files out of this. And, they look great on I have a Mac with the latest Retina screen, MacBook Pro. They look amazing on it. But the files, the photos that you're getting on this camera are going to look like dog shit regardless of what display you're putting them on, because they are meant to be printed, and they're meant to be printed large. I'm going to make it a point to do at least a few 8x12s per video that I do with this camera. So I'm going to be printing pretty much everything, and that's what this camera's about. If you print your photos, oh my god, it'll blow your mind. There's no screen that can match what this thing outputs, because the files are simply too detailed and too amazing and too freaking huge to ever have justice done to them on a screen. Retina, doesn't matter. You shoot with this, print it. Doesn't matter if you're hanging it up or doing whatever with it. Print it, look at it, enjoy it. It's so much better than anything you're going to get on a phone or a computer screen. Even like big, I think you'd have to go to like big 8K displays in order to do the images that you're getting out of this guy justice. Anyway, build quality is insane. It is fully weather sealed. And I like how they implement, when you take away the UVF, they have this really cool cover, which seems like, like a camera that, like, it doesn't have an UVF. Once you get that on there, it seems like it's really pretty much a part of the camera. And the tolerance in here is so tight, it just seems like you're, part of the design, as opposed to this is like a little cover that you can just pull off. And I'm in love with this. It's my primary stills shooter. To a degree, if you are a stills shooter, the GFX 50S system, especially now with the prices dropping the way they are, I don't think you need a 100 megapixel medium format sensor, but that 50S, 50R, it's the same sensor. Holy crap. If you're a primary still shooter and you can afford those lenses, you're going to be very, very happy. And it's as future proof as you're going to get. I think it's more future proof than Canon's latest high megapixel camera, than Sony's latest, because it's a different look. I think it's just a matter of sensor size combined with the pixel count. That's so hard to beat by anything that's out there. Some people say that, high megapixel full frame sensors are catching up to medium format, but that's not true. You kind of got to see for yourself. It's really that the magic is in the files. The secret sauce is the files that you're getting out of it, and then please make it, learn how to set up your prints, or learn how to set up your files for print, learn how to sharpen for print versus sharpening for screen, and print your files, print them big, and really just truly enjoy the results of all the work that we tend to put into these things. You don't have to spend $50 per print. You don't have to do like fine art Z-Clay or whatever. You can do high quality metallic prints on just decent photo paper, and it still blows any screen completely out of the water. I managed to get this guy for pretty cheap. So I sold a ton of stuff and saved up for a while and let go of some cameras and equipment that was pretty important to me, but in the current state of things were somewhat useless, and I went for this guy, and I am beyond happy. And this lens was in excellent shape. I did get it used. I think it's been 2 weeks, going on maybe 2.5 weeks, and I've got some decent pictures. But yeah, if you're on the fence about this, you don't need to be. You can always sell it. You'll be out a little bit of money. It's one of the best purchases I've ever made when it comes to photography. Probably the best purchase in terms of photo gear I ever made was Panasonic S1. But that's my work camera. This guy is like, you go out, you shoot, you have fun, and it makes you remember what it is about why you shoot with a camera, why you shoot with a large sensor and a dedicated tool for photography. This camera is as fast as pretty much any DSLR from a few years ago. You can shoot whatever you want with it. Focus is decent, autofocus is decent, focus peaking is pretty good. It is overall the most enjoyable thing to shoot. The technical aspects are a little bit difficult in terms of how your ISO and shutter speed relate to full frame, because you have to use higher shutter speeds because it's a bigger sensor. It's just a bigger mount. There's more shutter shock, but that's for a future video. Hope you enjoyed the video. Gonna be doing a lot more in the future. I have like 5 photo vlogs in my backlog. I just had a baby girl. It's the best thing ever. It's a wonderful time, but I don't have a lot of energy left at the end of the day to do videos, but I'm going to get those videos out as soon as I can. I am still finding time to shoot throughout the week. I'm pretty lucky in that regard. So, hold me to it if you can. And I plan to do a lot more videos, and I'll see you on the next one.